Hi, welcome to MGig. My name's Suzi Q P Dhol, and this week I'm filling in for Terina Lee. On this show, I'll be talking to Councillor Andrew Bond about his visions for live music in St Kilda and the city of Port Phillip, as well as Clair Bligh, who is a fellow music creator from Swamplands in the north side. But first, I've got Terina here. Hey, Terina. How's things been going for you?
Oh, thank you for filling in for me, Susie. It's awesome to see your face. I've been okay. I think I'm not much unlike other people. Every day is a bit different at the moment. It's pretty rough in Melbourne. We're sort of all living in this sort of free-range prison sort of thing at the moment, where we're confined to our spaces. But I've been keeping busy as much as I can. So
yeah. So what have you been doing?
Looking forward to getting back on MGig. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, what have you been doing? How do you feel? I mean, it's a hard question to ask, but let's be honest about it, How have your days been?
Well, I've been, trying to get my radio show. I host a community radio show on Southern FM, and usually that's something I do fortnightly, but with the circumstances at the moment, it's been sort of difficult to put together. A lot of bands aren't, wanting to do interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're all in this boat together, so it's been difficult to find people who want to jump on the show, and also find sort of the time and energy to want to put it together as well.
Yes.
Which is a struggle, but I'm positive that I'll have it up and running.
Oh no, very, very soon. But yeah, the fatigue does set in, doesn't it? And it is hard.
It does, you think you'd have a lot of energy sitting around doing nothing, but it's
I had
complete
so many plans, during lockdown, but yeah, no. Anyway, so look, Southern FM, that that's how we got to know each other, and you got involved with MGig. So what's it like at a radio station? What's going on actually at Southern FM?
So with obviously the last 6 months, a lot of restrictions have been, we've had new restrictions, we've eased some of them. It's all a bit of a roller coaster, but because of that, the studio's policies are constantly sort of changing. And it's a little bit of a ghost town down there, because we can't actually have, musicians come in and creatives come in and do interviews to promote some of those things that are happening in the community, because there's obviously nothing happening in the community at the moment. So it's been difficult to keep it going. Luckily, we've been allowed to keep going down there. So a lot of the people that have been there for a lot longer than I have are still being able to have that creative outlet at this point in time, which I think is super important for people.
It really is.
Yeah.
To have something to do is something I think we've learned, just a little thing.
It's exactly right. You put it. Yeah.
This is something
definitely.
to do. Yeah. So, you've got something. You've got something to do. You're coming up. You're going to be doing the next MGig.
Yes, I'm super excited to get back into the Alex Theatre there and see everyone and meet lots of new people that we can talk about what's happening with the music industry.
Yeah, no, and I've got some very exciting people I want to introduce you to from all the broad spectrums, from producers to So Terina, can you tell us about what the future of MGig is going to be? How do you see? Because we've obviously had to remodel a lot of our things. What's the remodel of MGig?
Yeah.
What's the future of MGig for us?
I think it's very exciting. Obviously, we're going to have a new look, which is the first thing that'll be different for MGig, which is exciting. Obviously, we can get a little bit of a taste with that watching Alex Rocks. We can see sort of some of the new technology we have to create sort of a different environment, which I think is super exciting, and also brings another level of quality at the moment, because we can't have people in the studio necessarily. So to be able to have that set up, I think will be amazing. But I think we're going to continue talking about the music industry and the business, and sort of reach out to some people we hadn't in previous episodes. Speak to sort of record labels, create some of those connections, and speak to managers. We'll just sort of go through that hierarchy of the music industry. It's
exactly
and who's involved, and
because we have to just keep rolling with the punches and remodel, because I think we were the first business that was are shut down, live music I'm speaking of, and I think we'll be the last business to open.
Yeah.
So we do have to reinvent constantly.
That's it. I think we're sort of like unaware of what the music industry, at least in Melbourne, is going to look like in the future. It's still sort of unknown. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to speak to like yourself and other people that are involved in involved in creating music and getting it out there and see how we reassess it and remodel how music's promoted.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep fighting the good fight.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Never stop.
No, never stop. Everything louder than everything else. Thank you so much for your time, Terina, and I can't wait for you to be back on. No, it's it's usually the other way around, but thank you.
Yeah. It's all right. We're mixing it up.
Yeah, that's it. Tonight I'm talking to Clair Bligh. She's a music curator at Swamplands now. She's been involved with many, many projects. Can we just have a little bit of the Clair Bligh story?
Hi Suzi, nice to see you. So I've been involved with music most of my adult life, either as a performer or as a curator. I've gone from working on festivals, I've worked with government, I've worked with arts organisations, and I've worked with a lot of small venues around Melbourne. So went from working from basically just getting a gig for some friends, and then from that got asked to start booking, initially with Wesleyan, and then booking for another little venue in Northcote, booked for a venue in Fitzroy for a little bit, and then for the last 5 years I've been the music booker for Swamplands Bar in Thornbury.
Yeah, it's, my auntie said to me when I was growing up, don't do something well unless you want to do it for the rest of your life, so...
Yeah, I guess probably like yourself, I've just always been obsessed with music. Yeah. But also, I guess it's been a bit of a mission for me also to support artists as well.
So with that and, you know, the hectic, horrendous times we're going through, you've been able to actually achieve to get a grant. So a lot of musicians and venues are sort of obviously struggling to the point of collapse. Can you know, give some encouragement about going through that grant process? How was it for you?
Oh, it's really stressful. It's like
that's not encouraging.
It's probably the hardest grant I've ever written.
Right.
Having said that, Creative Victoria were very good. Like, they were very supportive. I think they were very aware that this grant was specifically targeted for venues, and so they tried to make the process as easy as they possibly could. What was most helpful was just talking to them, and you know, I must have called them probably 20 or 30 times, and they were very patient. Like any sort of question which seemed stupid, they were really good with. I think for anyone putting in for a grant, it's really helpful to talk to them, but also even getting a friend who's written grants to read it over is really important. Just making sure you tick all the boxes, don't leave anything out, don't leave it right at the last minute. If there's any sort of supporting legal documentation you need, make sure you have it, because you don't want to miss out on a grant just because of some paperwork. So just making sure you tick all the boxes and also state your case and get a few people to proofread it.
I think that's really good advice. It's more about if you're unsecure or insecure about going forward in the grant process, reach out, because there are people in the community. I'm happy. I've gone through it and I've been successful in grants, and I've also been on the other side, the bureaucratic side of grants. So I do know, you know, both ways, and you just put your hand up and say, look, I need a bit of help, and you know, it's not, as you said, once you know the process, it's really not that hard.
It's about making what you do into fitting those boxes. So it is kind of about ticking boxes in a way, but it's also about having the voice. It's also about having a realistic budget. And showing that you're going to survive with the budget, and that you'll keep going after the grant. So it's all those things about having really good support material, like getting letters of support.
It is a confronting process at the start, especially for a lot of musicians who haven't worked through necessarily these bureaucratic procedures before, because a lot of them, sole traders, they pretty much live off their working income.
And it's an opposite process. Like, it's a completely different brain to a creative brain. And I think a lot of performers, who struggle, a lot of performers have low self-esteem anyway.
It comes to the territory, unfortunately. And that makes a good one. So we don't know when we're going to be able to have live music again, we're not sure. But can you, if I was, a young musician wanting to express myself, do you have any advice now on going forward?
Look, venues are going to reopen, and I think just continuing to write and create and record, and also look at every avenue. Like, look at writing partnerships, look at live. If you want to go do live streaming, do that, but also just keep in touch with venues as well, like, because we are going to come back. I mean, we're looking at for Swamplands, hoping to start shows again in December to limited numbers. And we have nights which are specifically for young bands, like our Thursday night is like a student band night and a young band night. And I draw a lot from those nights to book supporting acts for the other nights. So
it's an incubator.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important. Like, you need to do that. So just I guess to younger bands, just keep going. We are going to come out of it, and keep any avenues you can get your art out there, and keep collaborating and keep those communities happening, and just keep in touch with venues and.
Very good advice. Very good advice. Yeah. So I'm more than happy to write reference letters. We're both music creators from the north and the south, and I'm sure you'd be happy to step up.
Absolutely. I'd be really happy to help. Like, if there's any sort of musicians or venues who've missed out, like, having gone through the process, and I've gone through the process multiple times, and I've missed out as well before. Like, I'm really happy to proofread anything, talk to anyone. I'm available.
We haven't got much else to do, have we?
What the hell else are we going to do?
Make use of our time. We haven't got much else to do, have we?
What the hell else are we going to do?
Make use of our time. All right, well, thank you so much, Claire. Wonderful. And pretty soon we're going to be coming virtually from Swamplands. Looking forward to that. Clair Bligh, Swamplands, and many, many other ventures. Look forward to it.
Awesome.
See you,
Thanks,
sweetie.
Suzi.
Bye. Here's a recent interview I did with Andrew Bond about the vitality and importance of live music in St Kilda. Hey Andrew, how are you?
Good, thanks Susie. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, welcome to Alex Rocks. Tonight we're coming virtually from Frankie's Pizza in Sydney. It's nice to get out of Melbourne, even if it is virtual.
It's certainly great to be virtually in another state, somewhere where we residents of St Kilda are prohibited from actually doing in real life at the moment.
Yeah, well, thank you for zooming in with us. We've had noise restriction issues and things like that, but St Kilda and live music go hand in hand, don't they?
Absolutely. St Kilda's home of some of Melbourne's best venues. We've got the Palais Theatre, which I think is one of the best venues, not just in Melbourne, but in the world. It's a world-class venue. It's a unique venue. The sound in there is just magnificent, and we're just so very grateful to still have that operating. It came very close to maybe end, but it's now been refurbished and it's reopened, and it's going to take some time for it to get back up and running again after the COVID-19. But we're certainly glad we still have the building, and it's fantastic. We've still got that. We've got the Prince of Wales Band Room. We've got the Espy. We've got some of the newer type venues around town, like the Vineyard and the Dogs Bar and Lost and Surabaya Johnny. So we've got a whole host of live music venues all through St Kilda. It's very important to our local economy, is the live music industry.
Well, it does bring a lot of people to St Kilda. It's a lot about our economy and of our vibrancy. It is our identity.
Yeah, it's very much part of the identity of St Kilda. It's very hard to measure the day-to-day impact of live music on St Kilda. The one time council does actually measure it is for the St Kilda Festival. We do intercept surveys with the St Kilda Festival attendees, just so we know the age of people, how long they stay for, what they see, how much money they spend. And it's through that we can work out the return on council's investment in the St Kilda Festival. It's cost council about $1.8 million to put on the St Kilda Festival, which is an event for 400,000 people, a free event for 400,000 people. So it's quite an investment from council. But all those intercept surveys show that it puts between 25, 26, $27 million back into our local economy, which is a return on investment of about 14 times. It's one of the best return on investments for any event in Melbourne, much better than things like Moomba, the Grand Prix. The only one that would come close to it's probably the Australian Open tennis. So we're very proud of the economic benefit to a place like St Kilda and Victoria from an event like the St Kilda Festival.
Yeah, and it also goes on, as you mentioned, all those other venues, and people come here and they all buy dinner, and it's really very important to St Kilda.
St Kilda Festival's part of our branding, and yes, there mightn't be an immediate impact on the day, but some of those people who come down, they'll come back again and again in following weeks and months because they have such great memories of St Kilda, and it's that residual benefit that you just cannot measure, but we know it's there because we speak to people and we see them out at our bars on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So obviously with the current situation, one of the first industries to go down was the live entertainment music industry. We're coming up to a local council election. How do you envisage, what's your thoughts on the future for us?
Look, council and venues are going to have to get creative. We're going to have to throw away the rule book that we had previously, but venues also need to challenge council and challenge the norms and challenge the way they've done things previously. It's looking like we're going to have to operate outdoors for between 6 and 12 months. Fortunately, in St Kilda, we've got big, wide footpaths in a lot of our areas. So we're hopeful that we can take advantage of that. I know many businesses are currently in discussion with council about what they can do outside. Where we incorporate live music into those outdoor areas is going to be a real challenge, because you cannot contain the noise the way you can with an internal venue. So we need to put our thinking hats on and get out there and work out what can we do in order to ensure that live music continues whilst many businesses are operating outdoors in this challenging environment.
Well, yeah, that's the big difference between, if we take someone like the Esplanade or the Vineyard, yes, it's going to be okay for them to serve patrons, but how does live music?
That's going to be the challenge, and it needs to be some compromises between council and the venues, but also with residents of the local area. They need to be a bit more accepting of what's going to happen. Yes, we don't want to lose our live music. So how on earth do we get it to continue in an outdoor area in the upcoming environment this summer here in St Kilda? There needs to be a little bit of give and take and some compromise from all sides in order to ensure that this occurs.
I know the EPA is revising their noise restriction issue at the moment, and I've helped consult on that. Most of my rock gigs are over by 11 p.m. at night. So,
yeah, and that maybe we set aside one night a week where the noise restrictions don't apply. Everything needs to be on the table. Everything needs to be up for discussion.
Okay.
And we need to look at every rule council has needs to be flexible, and the EPA and bands and venues, everyone needs to approach this with a very flexible attitude and say, how do we make this work for everyone? Not just say, all right, computer says no, that's it, stop. It doesn't continue.
Because on behalf of St Kilda bands and Australian bands and venues, we're more than happy to work within the laws, but it's become to a point where we're so restricted that we've lost our whole industry. If we do allow outdoor eating, I don't see how that gap can be bridged, and I'm hoping that you can help us.
Oh, absolutely. We've got lots of great parks and open spaces in St Kilda. We have to look, all right, where can we position some music? Where can we position some acts? Where can we allow some outdoor areas to thrive where they have not minimal impact, but they have limited impact on the surrounding areas? You're not going to have a situation where you have outdoor live music and it has no impact. There is going to be some impact. So everyone needs to come to the table and say, all right, I'm going to compromise on this and you compromise on that. And we'll come up with a solution where bands and music can be played in our municipality, in and around St Kilda, and we all get to enjoy what's going to be a very unique, and I hate the word unprecedented because it's been very overused recently, but we're going to have an unprecedented summer here in St Kilda, so I think our response needs to be unprecedented also.
I think it does, and you brought up the St Kilda Festival and how much that brings to the town, and obviously that goes outside of noise restrictions. And there's various other festivals that have been held at Katana Gardens and things like that have also gone outside noise restrictions.
Absolutely. We can do it for special events like St Kilda Festival, Listen Out Festival, some of the other concerts we've had on our foreshore. So, all right, how do we look at our program this summer, our open spaces this summer, and how do we make things work? Because we've currently got nothing planned. I think we had to cancel everything. So we have a blank sheet. We do. Every space of ours is free for the next 6 or 12 months because everything's been cancelled. Yeah. So, we can look at any opportunity once we're allowed to go down that path. Wonderful.
Well, I hope you all the best in your upcoming election. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you at a music concert event, outdoor.
I can't wait.
Venue, beer garden, whatever it happens to be, in a month or two's time when we're allowed to get out there and enjoy a cold beverage and some music.
Cheers, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Suzi. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And that's all for this week. If you want to contact us, please send us an email and share the links. And Terina and Matt will be back next week with more music business. Until then.